You're listening to the My Simplified Life podcast, and this is episode number 1. Welcome to the My Simplified Life podcast, a place where you will learn that your past and even your present don't define your future. Regardless of what stage of life you're in, I want you to feel inspired and encouraged to pursue your dreams, simplify your life, and start taking action today. I'm your host, Michelle Glogovac, and I'm excited to share my stories and life lessons with you while taking you on my own journey. This is My Simplified Life. Hey all, thanks for being here. Today we're going to talk about careers. Have you ever been laid off? Do you wake up more often than not dreading that you have to go to your job? Let me tell you, friends, I have been there more than once. I'm going to share with you my career journey that took a total switch last year. Friends, I didn't pivot. I full-on switched career paths and took a leap of faith into something that I knew absolutely nothing about. This past year, I launched my own business and created a career for myself from scratch. I actually fell into my career the first time and the second time around. But the second time, I was able to do my research, start a business of my own, and decide for myself that it was what I wanted. I'm someone who gives my all in whatever I do. I always have, even as a child. When I make up my mind to do something, I follow through. It could be considered a flaw because of my utter determination, but I think it's a good trait to have because it also makes me dependable, and it means that I know what I want. Growing up, I wanted to be an attorney. At 5 years of age, I was dressing up in my mom's 2-piece green and black polka dot suit and bringing my dad's briefcase to school for career day. I was determined to be an attorney. Later on, I researched colleges and majors, and besides the fact that UC Santa Barbara has the most beautiful campus on the beach ever, it also offered the major I wanted, law and society. In my second year of college, it became apparent that I needed a job because I was funding my own education, but at the same time, I didn't have a car. Well, the airport was within walking distance, so it was perfect, and their starting salary for customer service was $9.20 an hour. That was a ton back then. I wasn't working at the airlines. I was actually in corporate aviation, which sounds oh so ultra glamorous. Within 3 months, I was also promoted to bookkeeper, and now I was making a whopping $12 an hour. I did summer school to save money and ended up graduating in under 4 years and was then offered a salaried position with benefits. Hell to the yeah, I wasn't going to have to move home like some of my friends were, and I was still going to live by the beach. I was working a ton, and I was making good money and meeting some incredible people. We can go more into details about who I've met, but so you have an idea of what I'm talking about, I held Blanket, Michael Jackson's son. I've gotten to meet Sean Penn, who was much quieter than I expected. Dennis Miller and Al Michaels used to fly in for Monday Night Football. Joe Montana, who I grew up watching on TV with my dad all the time, who refused to let me touch his luggage because he wanted to do it himself. Michael Jordan, who invited me out to his bar on my 21st birthday. No, I didn't go. Bo Derek, and one of my favorites, Rob Lowe, who is not just adorable, as we all know, but he is hilarious and so personable. I've gotten to meet Jim Carrey and many, many more. I also got to travel around the country. I was training other bases, and then I was recruited by another company. I was recruited 2 more times after that until I landed a sales role with a Fortune 100 company and was their youngest salesperson. I was crushing goals, selling fuel, making money, traveling to new places. I moved around the country, lived in big cities, and these were all really awesome perks. I mean, meeting celebrities and making money was really what was keeping me going. But I wasn't in love with what I was doing. It was actually never something I dreamed of doing. Now, let me remind you, these were the high points, but we haven't talked about any of the low ones, like running around in the rain when you're in heels, to be handed a hefty bag of trash without even being acknowledged, not hearing the words thank you when you've worked day and night traveled 3 weeks out of 4 for months at a time, made your goals, but then to be told, you need to do better next year. Not taking a full maternity leave on the basis that you wouldn't have to travel for 12 weeks after your first child was born, but 2 weeks after he was born being told, why don't you get on the plane and go to New York? Don't worry, you can bring your newborn. Some receptionist will just watch him while you're in meetings all day. Was I passionate about aviation? Not really. Did I love jet fuel? No, it's actually just gas for airplanes. Don't get me wrong, the planes are sexy as hell, but being in sales meant that I was no longer on the front line of it, and let's be honest, corporate life can really suck. After a decade with that company, I was laid off, and let me tell you what a blow that was. If you've been laid off, you know what I mean. You go through ups and downs and all kinds of emotions, and to top it off, I just had my first baby. I was already emotional and hormonal, and this was just over the top. I got lucky, though, and I was hired immediately by a competitor and still in the aviation world. Still not my dream job, though, and I was looking for something more. I sold wine, I blogged more, but none of it was bringing me money that would allow me to quit my job. Then that company was acquired, and I was laid off again, but now with 2 kids. At this point, I was done working for someone else, done juggling schedules with my husband or paying for our kids and our nanny to join us on a trip, done with not being told thank you since my paycheck should have been thanks enough. I tried to do some event planning and social media management, but none of it was really exciting me. I was then added to a Facebook group called Whiskey and Work and discovered it was a podcast. Yeah, I've heard of those before, but I didn't know how to listen to one. Since you're listening to me now, you must obviously know how to listen to a podcast, but if you're reading the show notes and you have an iPhone, it's the purple button on the second screen of your phone. I started listening to Kelsey Murphy, and I was getting charged up. I was determined to find my passion and to launch my own business. But in what? Well, in podcasting, of course. It started out with pitching, then grew to show notes, guest sourcing, managing, and now producing, and I freaking love it. I love that podcasts are free for you to listen to. I love that people with amazing words and messages are now being heard by thousands and millions of other people. My business started to grow, and instead of me needing to reach out to people, they're now seeking me out to work with me. I'm jumping out of bed every morning at 5 a.m. excited to do my work. I'm getting paid to listen to my favorite podcasts before they even go live. I get to work with incredible people who I admire and truly want to work with, and people who appreciate what I do for them. Being appreciated and thanked is one of the most amazing feelings in the world. So if you're listening and you manage people or have freelancers or anyone else working for you, do them a solid and say thank you. Tell them they're a rock star because it's going to make both of you feel really damn good. It's something that's missing in the corporate world all too often, and those 2 words can change someone's entire outlook on their job and career. Now, don't get me wrong. I didn't wake up one day and say, oh, podcasting sounds like a good move. No, I educated myself. I took courses. I talked to people, read blog posts about podcasting. But once I was in, I was all in. So what does this mean for you? Well, it means that no matter how long you've been doing what you're doing, you have the opportunity to make a switch and find something you love to do that makes you want to get up in the morning and work at it. I've learned so much about myself in this process and about running a business. It's definitely scary shit sometimes, but it's so incredibly worth it. For me, it means being at home with my kids, and when I'm working, it's on stuff I really want to do with people I really want to work with. I'm sure you're thinking, okay, Michelle, you found something that lights you up, and boy, does that sound woo-woo and all. But I want you to know that when you find that one thing, you're going to feel this way too, and the light bulb will go off. You are going to feel inspired. You're going to inspire yourself and others, and the fact that you love what you're doing is going to radiate into the world. So here's what I want you to do after listening to my story. I want you to reflect on where you currently are in your career. Do you love it, or are you struggling to get out of bed every day, dreading the day ahead of you? Take 15 minutes every day this week to start brainstorming about things that you would like to do. What excites you? What interests you? I want you to share those things with me and how you can turn them into a career that makes you feel like you've found your purpose. I want you to get the feeling that I have right now as I'm talking to you. Send me a DM about what you're thinking, what's inspiring you, and if I can help you in any way. I am so excited to share more of my stories with you and stories of others who have found what they love to do, no matter what stage of life they're in. If you've loved this first episode, please head over to Apple Podcasts and leave me a review and rating, and know that I have loved chatting with you and I cannot wait until next week. Thanks for listening to My Simplified Life, and remember that your past and your present don't define your future. You do.